Well, kind of in the shop today. About 50 degrees out. I got the little heater going in, kind of getting the dampness out of the garage. And right now I'm trying to get things cleaned up so I can get to that engine, which is Plan B for the ARC. We already took the other block off, which is sitting over there, which is Plan A. Hopefully we'll get to Plan A this year, so I can get the engine stand, since our other ones are filled up with engines right now. So I'm going to try to scoot some stuff over. It's going to be tight regardless, so I can get to that engine, get it up, and get it mounted to the engine stand, so I can start taking it apart to get the new crank in. So while I'm doing that, Ethan's got his own gig going on today with the 2014 cop car. And this thing's had some slight coolant leaking issues for God knows how long. Last time Ralph had it over here, we changed the hoses out and it quit leaking for a while. And then when we got it, it was doing all right, but then we started noticing another little seep again coming from the same area, which was basically, you can top it off a little bit between oil changes, but it's gotten worse now. So Ethan ordered some new hoses for this thing, and hopefully it takes care of it. So he's got the bottom radiator hose out, and not necessarily that the hose goes bad, but these go bad. And this is probably about 2 years old, a little over. And it started leaking good again. You can also start seeing it's starting to rust pit already, which is not good. Got a little crack going on there. And especially on this model, it has an oil cooler on it. So that goes to the oil cooler. That goes back out of the water cooler or oil cooler. Comes back up here towards the top. So Ethan is breathing the damp weather today.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yep.
Went from a small leak to a puddle in the driveway, and I gotta get to work on Monday, so.
And we don't want to overheat her.
Yeah.
So not only is he replacing the bottom hose, he's also replacing the top hose. And he got the complete kit. So it takes care of overflow, heater. So that's what's all in these bags here. This is the bottom one. And as you can see, that's where that piece would be at, which is with these, it's not on here. That goes back to the oil cooler. And these are from HPS. They're silicone hoses. So that's what he's going to be using. And hopefully it takes care of the issues. And we got here, same thing. They're doing away from the connections. So hopefully these last a lot longer. We'll see what happens. So we're going to be bouncing between him and me. This kind of day here working on stuff. And so I'm gonna get back doing it on my side. We'll check back with Ethan later. All right, got moved out of this hole. Getting ready to jack it up. Get everything off the back and get it on the engine stand. Got all that taken apart. Get that set up, ready to go. Went ahead and pulled the rear main seal before I turned it upside down and put it on the engine stand. A lot of times I just leave it on, but this time I decided to take it off. We got a new one anyway. So let's get this thing up on the engine stand. Getting close to time to take everything apart on the front. So all of that's got to come out. Then we'll turn it upside down, get the oil pan off, and then the fun begins on taking the crank out. Meanwhile, Ethan's still working on the charger. Let's go check on him. And right now he's installing the bottom section, which is that with the new hoses. So right now he's trying to fish the hose clamp, get it where he wants it at. We were just talking, he's gonna go ahead and just get the bottom hose assembly done, get the top one done, call it good for now. Get some fluid back in it, and then we got some stuff coming. We gotta pull his intake back off and change out the MDS plugs that we got in there. They've been in there for a few years now, and I believe we got one or two of them that might be leaking. We can't, the only thing we can tell is we got some oil coming off the back top of the block going down, and we've checked the valve cover gaskets, they were fine. Went ahead and replaced the intake gaskets, thinking that was probably it. Well, nope. So all that comes back apart. New intake gaskets again, new MDS plugs. We ordered a set from MMX. They're bullet aluminum. The O-rings are a higher temp, so hopefully they don't fail like these did, and we'll see how it goes. How's it going?
Tight.
Tight?
Tight.
Sometimes that's what we gotta have, is tight. But he's doing the worst part of it now, getting it all screwed in, and hopefully here in the next half hour to an hour, it'll be all back together as far as the bottom and the top goes, and getting some fluid back in it. Meanwhile, back in the garage. Right now I'm waiting for the battery to charge up on the big impact, and I think the crankshaft bolt for harmonic balancer is probably a little boogered up. The reason I'm saying that is because it broke loose with it being on 2 on the battery, which means it should have took it off, but it didn't. If it breaks off, I'm not worried about it. I've got a lot of these. So while we're waiting for that to charge up, I think Ethan's about ready to put some fluid and purge the system. So let's go take a look. So he's getting everything set up. He's got the top hose in. It's all ready to go, the bottoms go. And on these guys, I see a lot of times on Dodge forums and stuff, I changed my water pump, I did this, it's still running hot. You gotta purge these things, man. You got any type of air in this thing, it's not gonna stay cool. So on the water pumps, you'll see this here, and what you do is you take that out, start filling it up. Once it starts coming out of here, put this back in, get everything topped up where it's supposed to be at, run it until it opens up the thermostat. It'll gurgle a little bit left of air that's in it back into the reservoir, instead of having to do it 9,000 times. So make sure you take that off when you do it. There, he's got that out. I'm gonna look over here for him when it starts coming out. So it might take a couple of those before it starts coming out. Starting to hear a little bit of air. All right. So just now started coming out. We're going to start it up, try to get it up to temp, and let it start burping the rest of the way out. But of course, you gotta wait for it to get under pressure. Ethan's underneath there now, kind of looking real quick. We got it up to temp. Right now it's sucking it back in, getting all the air bubbles out of it. As soon as it's done doing that, we'll give another fire up, and then hopefully that should be it. And everything look good underneath?
Yep. So far, everything's dry.
So you can see now more of the bubbles are coming out, sucking the fluid down. And we'll see where she stops at. All right, we got the cap back. We got the cap back on it now. We'll let it run for a little bit and check the temp, and everything seems good. We'll leave it as it is. And with that, we'll shut it down, let it cool off, and then double check. But hopefully that should have been it. All right, things seem to be okay on that for the bullet. So he's gonna get the bottom plastic piece back in it, get it back on the ground. So far, it looks like he's doing all right, but we'll know more once he takes a test drive of it. He said everything's really working well now, especially with the heat inside, because he was having some issues with that. But it seems like now, fixing the leak, it's working. So let's get back in here and see if I can get that bolt out. It took a few minutes, but I got it out. See if I can show y'all. Yep. Go in the junk pile. Thank God I've got another one or two of those to put in with the new crank, unless it just happens to come with one. We'll see when I open the box up. So now let me get the pulley set up, get this off, take timing cover off. I got my puller set up. Now, Mopar, the truck application, pre-Eagle application, Eagle application, you could have about 3 different harmonic balancers. This one, it's got threads in there to put the 3 bolts in and get it out. The other ones, you have to use the claw type. And they do actually make the special tool to take it out. But what I do is I'll take my claw, I got a big claw and a small claw, and I'll use the big claw part and put my small claws on it. It sometimes can be a pain in the butt, but it's worked for me. And so yeah, let's get this one off. All right, now we got some 13 millimeter bolts to take out, a 15 millimeter, and I'm going to try to do it and leave the water pump on, but we'll see what happens. And see how it goes. All right, got all the bolts out and the timing cover. Let me see if I can try to get all this out in one spot. All right. Now, when I go to put the timing curve and stuff back on, I'll do it with the oil pan being off. All right. Got the timing gears off, timing chain off, temperature is off. So now we're gonna go ahead and get the oil pan off, get it flipped upside down. We're probably gonna have some more water coming out of it. But that's okay. So let's get this pan off and get her flipped. All right, we got her upside down. So for the reason to get into this, some of y'all new to the channel, this was our Plan B engine that we got off Marketplace. Got it in the LART, got it fired up, and long story short, ended up finding out it had a spun bearing in it, which is probably why they let it go for $2,500 for the engine and the transmission. So we have another crank kit for it, and tomorrow I'm gonna get in here, take all this apart, get all the bolts out. I gotta remove that. Get all the bolts here out for the mains. And then slowly, one by one, break them loose. Set my caps on the table. So I get all this cleared off. So this would be the front of the engine, working back. So that way I don't get these all mixed up. And yeah, I can probably get a little stamp thing, put in there and go and number them. But as long as I keep them, this being the front, that being the back, shouldn't have any problems. So let's go outside real quick. Ethan's cleaning his mess up. And car doing good?
So far, so good.
Still got it out there running?
Yeah. My issue was I lost heat on the interior. Like I said, we knew it had a small coolant leak, but I only had to top it off maybe every other oil change. And then it just became progressively worse and worse.
Kind of like what happened with us with the power steering hose.
Yeah, exactly the same. But yeah, I replaced the 3 main hoses on it. I still got 2 in the kit. Like Dad said, we'll replace those whenever we got the intake off. We'll have more access to those. But so far, so good. I just went and put some gas in it, let it sit and idle and run the whole time. It's not getting hot on me, and I've got heat on the inside now.
I mean, so. And this car has been all over the place since we got it from Ralph.
Oh yeah, I've put 40,000 miles on it.
I know you put some miles on it. I put some miles on it.
And barely done anything to it.
Yep.
Power steering hose, coolant hoses.
Some front end stuff.
A little bit of front end work.
And some
new tires and alignment.
Like they say down in the south, new tires.
New tires.
New tires. But like I said, he's been leaving it idling. He done went through town and everything. So let's go check what the gate says. And right now she's sitting dead center where she's supposed to be at. So she's doing good, not leaking. But today we're going to call it. Let my back rest a little bit. And like I said, I'll get back out here tomorrow. And we'll do another video on me taking the crank out, putting the new one in. And I'm hoping that I don't have to pull this head off and change this rod out. I want to mic it, make sure it's still in tolerance to the other ones. If it is, we're good. We'll put it all back together. If not, we'll be pulling that head out and popping that piston and putting another one in. So other than that, guys, you have a good one, a safe one, and we'll see you down the road.